I want to welcome you to today's devotion. Now, we've got a special one today. If you're going to be God's man, God's woman, you're going to have to live by faith, and that faith will be tested. So let's go right now to our devotion. During the past 50 years of following Jesus, there's one thing that I've learned. Everything has to be done by faith. If you're going to be used of God, you have to walk by faith, you have to live by faith, but that faith will often be tested. You'll be placed into impossible situations where you can't accomplish what needs to be done. Only God can do it. Now, this happened with Joshua, and Joshua was God's man. Of course, he grew up under the mentorship of Moses. He saw Moses be used of God in a mighty way. He saw Moses bring the children by miracles, signs, and wonders out of the land of Egypt and bring them into the wilderness. But you see, God's plan was much more than just bringing them out of Egypt. God wanted them to go into the promised land. Now, Joshua's responsibility was to bring them into the promised land. And he was to be God's leader. He was to be God's man. But he faced a tremendous test of his faith. And that was at the River Jordan. When they arrived at the River Jordan, they camped out there, and there were several things that took place. And Joshua made some good decisions, faith decisions, that enabled him to overcome and bring the children of Israel into the promised land, to cross that River Jordan. You see, the River Jordan was an impossible place, an impossible situation. And Joshua knew that he needed to be consecrated to God, and the people needed to be consecrated unto God. And so the men went throughout the camp and told everyone, consecrate yourselves to the Lord. Tomorrow we're going to go across this. Your lives need to be surrendered to God. There is no substitute for a life wholly surrendered to God. So the people of God needed to surrender to God, and Joshua needed to surrender to God. But then there would come that step of faith where they put their feet in the water. Now that was the point, because they were facing this impossible situation, and unless God worked on their behalf, it would never happen. But they trusted God. They took that step of faith. The test was there, and they took the step of faith. But there's something interesting about the way in which they took the step of faith, and that was the Ark of the Covenant went before them. And that Ark went before them. The Ark of the Covenant was where the presence, the manifest presence of God dwelt. And so they knew they needed the presence of God with them. Now, you and I need to know that when we do what God's called us to do, we need God with us. If God is with us, then who then can be against us? We are more than conquerors through Christ if we know that He is with us. So today, why don't you go before the Lord, consecrate yourself to the Lord. Take that step of faith. It will be tested. Take that step of faith, and then let God's presence fill you, and you will be victorious, and you will see God do great and mighty things. Your faith may be tested, but there will be victory.